begin with the second explication of the three Dhamma seals. Something I forgot to mention in the previous one is the reason they're called the Dhamma seals. Dhamma, Pali, or Sanskrit Dharma, just refers, well, it has many meanings. The way I'm using it here is refers to the true nature of reality. And seals, as in stamp, like you would seal an envelope in the old days with your insignia, so people would know it was from you. The seal. These three observations taken together are something that's unique to Buddhism. You won't really find anyone else who arrived at these same conclusions, who brought it this far. So the term Dharma seals, this is a stamp that marks Buddhism as different from other teachings, and it's about the true nature of reality. So to move on to the second Dhamma seal, I'm going to talk about anatta, or not self. Now this one people find a little tricky sometimes, and you can go really deep into these teachings, and there's different levels of development and understanding. But really, when you look at it fundamentally, these are all interrelated. All three of the Dhamma seals are interrelated. A really good teacher, Larry Rosenberg, speaks about how impermanence, not self, and the third Dharma teaching, the third Dharma seal, dukkha, or unsatisfactoriness, go together. They're all part of one another, just like heat and color are characteristics of flame. And I found that an apt analogy. They're interrelated. So when you look at not self, what the Buddha is saying here, he's not saying that you don't exist, that things don't exist. They just don't exist in the common way of conceiving that they do. For me, really simply, if you can observe impermanence, and it's pretty readily available, and this is one of the reasons I discuss it in this order. If you can see impermanence, and I can see impermanence, not self follows in that. What he's saying by anatta, he's saying that nothing has an inherent, indelible reality. It's not an immutable entity. It's not something that is permanent. So if everything is impermanent, how can there be a permanent self? It's really simple. In the sense that the Buddha talks about an analogy of the chariot. So what makes the chariot? And for us, we could talk about a car. So what makes a car a car? Is it the engine? So if you take out the engine, is it still a car if everything else remains? It's a composite. Everything is an aggregation. So certain conditions come together, and when those conditions are no longer in confluence, then things break apart. So there's no fundamental thing that always exists, because everything is in relation to everything else. And it's a lot. I'm doing these talks starting at a beginning level. It's probably a lot to absorb. But if you see that things are impermanent, there's not self in the sense that they're not permanent. And that's for me, I find that an easy way to look at it. If nothing is permanent, nothing has an inherently existing self. It's finite. Everything is finite. Okay, so we can leave it at that for now, and I will be back with the third Dhamma seal.